Public market SaaS stocks completely crashing. The best AI companies, the most successful, fastest growing ones, they're vibe coding tools to create more SaaS companies. And finally, founders that started calling themselves AI founders all of a sudden are okay with calling themselves SaaS founders. And at the same time, the search volume and the trends for how to grow a SaaS company is absolutely skyrocketing in my metrics. What exactly is going on with SaaS today? And what do you do as a founder of a software company, whether you're an AI company or a SaaS company or some hybrid of the two? In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 big trends that's actually happening in SaaS and AI today. And then once I explain exactly these 3 trends, I'm gonna explain why these are true, why I have high conviction around them. I'll prove it to you. And then I'm gonna show you how to win in this market. And when you follow all the principles and understand the trends I'm gonna show you by the end of this episode, you're gonna be able to accelerate your path to the next stage of growth by taking advantage of the macro trends in the market. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help AI and SaaS founders like you grow your businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics on how to grow your AI and SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, where you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, this fast growing channel, and my coaching programs, my people, welcome back. Really awesome to see you over here. Now, here's what we're gonna do on this episode. I'm gonna walk you through the 3 big macro trends, and then I'm gonna show you why they're true, why I have high conviction around them and how I develop them, and then I'm gonna teach you how to win. Now, for context, the reason I know about these trends that are happening is because, one, I've been in the SaaS industry for quite some time. My last company, Kader, we were backed by Andreessen Horowitz and Jackson Square Ventures, and we came in right around the time of the on-premise to the cloud transformation trend. That was a big platform shift that was happening. And we were a SaaS platform. We were able to grow the company. We pioneered the sales engagement space, and then we exited it to Marketo. After selling Kader to Marketo, I joined the executive team as their SVP of strategy, and I learned firsthand on what it takes to truly scale a SaaS business at upwards of 450 million ARR. And again, at that time, there's a big platform shift happening between on-prem to cloud and then to mobile, which was the last platform shift that happened. We did a 2-year transformation at Marketo. We sold it to Adobe for $4.75 billion. After that, I started Unstoppable. Unstoppable was my coaching business where I work with founders like you to build and scale software companies. I've helped founders add millions of dollars of ARR through the years that I've been coaching and helping founders actually scale companies. The key to winning through all these years has been to truly understand the big macro trends that are happening in the software industry and playing to them, whether it's on-premise to cloud, cloud to mobile, and now cloud to AI. But here's the thing, it's not exactly obvious on what's going on, which is why we're gonna dig into the exact 3 trends that are happening. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. Trend number 1, as we dig into it, of what's actually happening in SaaS right now, and SaaS and AI combined, is that proprietary data is winning. Proprietary data. Whether you look at the most successful AI companies or you look at the most successful SaaS companies that have added AI features, in either case, the companies that are taking the large language models and are actually adding proprietary data sets, they are actually yielding better results for customers. For the ones that are just doing a thin wrapper around the LLM, either they are getting initial traction or flailing out, or they're just not succeeding because people are saying, hey, we could just use Claude directly or ChatGPT directly or Gemini directly. So the ones that are truly winning actually have access to proprietary data. Now let's dig into this a little bit more on why this macro trend is important. Historically, there's been 3 types of SaaS platforms. You have the system of record. This has been the most valuable. This is your CR. I'm going to put $3 signs over here. So the system of record has been traditionally the most valuable. The CRM platforms, the HRM platforms, the finance platforms, the ERP platforms. This is what stores all of the data. And traditionally they have been the most valuable because when a company actually sets up their system of record, they're very unlikely to actually move off of it. So you have high retention, it's highly valuable. The second most valuable type of SaaS platforms that have existed are the systems of engagement. The system of engagement is $2 signs instead of the $3 signs. The system of engagement is where people actually do the work. Now, originally, the systems of records, like the CRMs, weren't very good for actually doing the work. They were just data entry forms. So all these companies started building on top of the CRM platforms, my last company, ToutApp included, where we actually help people do their jobs. And we took all the data and plugged it back into the CRM and took the data from the CRM to make the workflow that much easier. And system of engagement became that much more valuable. When we first started out, no one really knew about sales engagement platforms. Fast forward to today, it's a $5.2 billion category. But the CRM category is still way bigger than that. So it just goes to show that system of record is still the most valuable. It stores all the data. The system of engagement is where you do all of the workflows. The third type of SaaS platform that exists is the system of decision. And this is the third most valuable. So that's $1 sign. This is the business analytics tool. This is the analytics and insights tools. This is the somewhat predictive tools before AI truly came out, before LLMs truly came out. They sat on top of the system of record, on top of the system of engagement. On top of that, they looked at all the data, they looked at all the workflows and just helped humans make decisions. This has traditionally been the stack both in the on-premise world and in the cloud world. And traditionally, these three systems were used by humans. Now, because of large language models, you can say, hey, actually, we can probably take over some of the system of engagement, meaning your humans don't really need to do anything. We can just do it for you. We can also go in and say, hey, our large language model can actually analyze all of your data, look at all the work that your humans are doing, and help you make better decisions. So over here has been a huge amount of AI wrappers, and traditionally the Chat GPT wrappers that have been added on top of existing systems, the little chatbot that got added has been systems of decisions, which is why traditional SaaS companies just check the box and saying, hey, we have AI, just added a system of decision, and they didn't get very far. They didn't really get that much alpha. But what's really happening right now in today's world is this segment. AI companies and also some of the SaaS companies that are getting smarter a lot faster are coming in and saying, hey, you have humans using the system of engagement and logging data into the system of record. We're just going to sell you an agent that does the work for you, middle to middle or end to end. I'll explain what that is in a second. And this is where a lot of the SaaS companies are starting to get disrupted, or at least that's the thesis. This is what's happening. These agent companies are coming in and saying, hey, you are right now paying $125 per seat per salesperson to actually use Outreach or SalesLoft or even Salesforce. We're going to put in our agent and you don't have to hire any people and they'll just do the prospecting for you or close the deals for you. There are some agent companies that are promising that. We'll see what happens. And what ends up happening is people are wondering like, hey, if these agent companies are really successful, then the system of record and the system of engagement is going to die. They're not going to add more seats. They're not going to hire as many humans, and these agent companies are going to take over. But this is where the but comes in, and this is where this macro trend comes in. These agents can't really do their jobs without proprietary data. These agents, let's just take a simple example of a BDR agent. This is a BDR agent where you are actually taking inbound leads and you're nurturing them to turn them into actual meetings and pipeline. That's a BDR agent. Well, this BDR agent could just go off of the LLM data and say, hey, I'm just going to email these people. But these BDR agents only work well if you can actually analyze all the data in the CRM and all the data in what the humans are doing to achieve success for this specific company. Then these agent companies are able to take that data, combine it with the LLM and actually deliver results. But in the absence of that, these agent companies aren't able to yield success, which is why so many of the AI pilots tend to fail. So this goes to show that while these agents are powerful, they are nothing compared to the system of record and maybe even the system of engagement. And these are the two most valuable pieces of the stack. So what that means is that the companies that have the proprietary data are the ones that are going to have the most successful AI use cases and agentic use cases. Without the data, none of it will matter. Now, in some of these cases, you could argue that a startup will be able to just integrate into Salesforce and SalesLoft and whatever platform you have your data, HR platform, ERP platform, and these agents would be wildly successful. But at the same time, you might think, hey, Salesforce is just not going to sit around and do nothing. They'll likely acquire one of these agent companies and offer their own and own the data and wall off the data so that other companies can't benefit from it. So at the same time, what's really happening is while AI companies are valuable, the idea of an agent is valuable, and explain in number 2 and number 3, these 2 trends will explain what's actually valuable about them. The data is more valuable than anything else. So the first big trend that's really happening is in SaaS, the data is turning out to be the greatest asset. So if you're a system of record SaaS, if you're a system of engagement SaaS offering, then chances are, as long as you're looking at adding agentic capabilities, not this simple chatbot stuff, which is in the decision layer, which is like lowest value, you're truly adding agentic capabilities to actually do things based on the data and actually track the record and make the data even better, and you're going to be successful. Now, there are going to be upstarts that try to tap into your data and add value for your customers, and that's going to be where the competitive battleground is going to be fought. That's what we're going to be fighting over. But proprietary data is the key part. Now, what that means is if you've got a SaaS offering that's just a thin wrapper around ChatGPT or OpenAI's model or Claude, whichever model you're using, if it's just a thin wrapper around it, then you need to work fast at tapping into proprietary data so that the output of your application is better than what would happen if the user just went directly into the large language model and just asked for it. So that's going to be your bar. So these thin wrappers are going to die unless your prompting capabilities are that much better, but really your proprietary data is going to be that much better. Therefore, your results are going to be that much better than just typing it into the chatbot itself. And that's going to be your competitive advantage because you can actually say, hey, look, you can go try typing in a ChatGPT and see how it does, or you can use our product. Our product is going to deliver results, and you can do a 7-day free trial or a 30-day pre-pilot. So you can structure it in any way, but that's going to be your alpha. Proprietary data is the big macro trend that's really happening, whether you're a SaaS or an AI company. And this is one of the sub points where I saw for a good 12-month period where every founder that's a SaaS founder and a millionaire or 2 millionaire almost felt ashamed of calling themselves SaaS founders and felt compelled to add an AI chatbot and check the box and say that they're AI founders now. But now I'm actually seeing there's a little bit more reality in the market. And some of them are saying, look, I'm a software founder, and others are saying I'm a SaaS founder because it's all converging. There's no SaaS company that's not going to have AI. And in fact, the SaaS company, and I'll explain this in number 2 on what that also means from a business model perspective. There's no SaaS company that's not going to have AI, but also every SaaS company has proprietary data, and therefore we're more valuable. So it's definitely shifting because of this macro trend. That's number 1. Let's go to number 2. We're going to go back to the red. Macro trend number 2 is recurring revenues. And what I mean by that, I'll explain, is seat-based plus credits. Here's the thing that was eye-opening to me. Over 75% of OpenAI's revenues comes from their ChatGPT subscription product. The $20 you pay or the $200 you pay, depending on the tier you're in, more than 75% of their revenues is their SaaS pricing, software as a service pricing. So what's really happening here is that the business model of SaaS, separate from the product type, these are the product types of SaaS, your system of record, engagement, decision. But the business model of SaaS, where you swipe a credit card and you commit to paying a certain amount every month, recurring revenue, or you sign up for a 1-year deal and you pay for the year up front, again, recurring revenue, stronger than ever, more valuable than ever. It's the best business model that's ever been created. And this is why so many private equity firms are getting into SaaS and have gotten into SaaS. And this is why every VC still loves that recurring revenue, because when you have revenue that is guaranteed to be recurring, it is valued higher than revenue that you sold once. And this is why also so many people were freaking out about calling AI revenue true ARR, annual recurring revenue, because what it really was a bunch of pilots that people were just trying and then canceling, whether it was at the enterprise level, mid-market, or in the SMB level. So what is coming out, what is the pattern, the macro trend is the business model of SaaS, the recurring revenue business model, stronger than ever. How it's being implemented is there is seat-based pricing where you can use it to a certain amount and then you add credits. And how it's ending up on the enterprise is also kind of like reserved instances of EC2, meaning when you sell EC2, Amazon service, web services, to an enterprise company, they don't want to pay $9 a month per instance. They want to say, look, we have a certain cloud budget. We want to actually estimate what our workload is going to be. We want to commit to reserved instances, and we want to get a discount. That way we know what our spend is going to be. So every enterprise is like, we want some predictability in what our spend is going to be. So they'll prepay for credits. They'll estimate how much they'll need. They don't want to get skyrocketed credits. Same with any business owner. Like, think about it. You put something on Vercel, and you see all these things on X about, oh, our traffic blew up and now we have a $50,000 bill. It's like, yeah, that sucks. You definitely don't want that. What's really happening is people are saying, look, I want seat-based revenue, and then I'll buy a certain amount of credits. And then when I go for 1 year, I'll actually buy more credits and reserve credits so we can actually estimate how much our total cost of ownership is going to be and compare it to our ROI so that this is a real deal and we plug it in. So the business model of SaaS, stronger than ever. The number one AI company, over 75% of their revenue comes from seat-based pricing. So seat-based pricing is still very, very powerful. The problem ends up being where, hey, with SaaS and AI, I call it AI SaaS now, the problem ends up being you have token costs. But what's also happening is token costs are going down faster than ever, which is awesome. And the other thing that's happening is you're not going to add more seats because companies are getting leaner. What you're really doing is you're doing the seat base and maybe turning that into a platform fee. And then you're saying, hey, this is how many credits you get, which is you're getting rewarded for per unit of work that you're doing. And this is one of the things that is probably the only delineation that really matters between AI companies and SaaS companies today, which is SaaS companies are selling to humans to use it. So it's going after the software market. AI companies are going after the software market, but really they're going after the labor market, which is a bigger market, saying you don't need to hire those next 5 people. You just need to buy our software and you'll pay us accordingly, and it'll be a fraction of paying the humans. So this credits thing is going to grow, but it's going to be on top of the actual seat base and platform fees. And that's what's happening. But recurring revenue, stronger than ever, major trend. And even the AI companies are going for this kind of pricing. One, because people just want predictability on their spend, and that way they can compare the ROI. But also you want net expansion, which is true for SaaS also. But because you're not going to be hiring as many employees, you're going to get more robots, you're going to do more work. Credits are how you're going to get net expansion. And that's what's becoming more true than ever before as the second macro trend. Now, the third macro trend is where this all starts to come together. This is huge in terms of what you do in terms of your AI product and your SaaS product. And then I'm going to get into why and then how to win in this market. But before I do that, let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? This is a very exciting time for SaaS and AI, just for building a software company. It has become easier than ever to build software, which is amazing. You know, I have like 5 Claude Code sessions. I can't remember the last time I wrote a line of code, and I have a computer science degree. But at the same time, it's harder than ever to stand out. So there's opportunities and risks, but these macro trends really give us clarity on how to win. So if you're seeing the power of this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. And honestly, so do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. Also, if you're in this stage where you're a founder of a SaaS company or an AI company or the convergence of the two, I mean, ultimately, it's becoming easier to build. It's becoming easier to build more features. What's becoming harder is to stand out. What's becoming harder is to get distribution. What's becoming harder is to actually sell and market your product and actually show that they can trust you, because there's been so many people that overpromised on even AI. So if you're in that stage where you're really looking to figure out how to get distribution, then you should grab a copy of my 5-point AI and SaaS growth strategy guide. It's completely free. It's composed of my best resources all in one place. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. I'll also link to it in the description below. Smash that like button and let's go to macro trend number 3. Macro trend number 3 is fewer clicks to aha. One of the things that I strive for is I like to find the true principles. This is something I learned at Bridgewater, the largest hedge fund in the world. I used to work over there. Ray Dalio, Bridgewater, that whole. And one of the things I learned was to just find the truest principles, because that helps you make the best decisions. Think in terms of a first principles basis. I was learning this stuff while I was there back in like 2008, and no one knew about Bridgewater or Ray Dalio, but now he's like really made it popular. But it's really true. And one of the things that's been true in SaaS, that's even more true in AI and just true in software, is you have the user problem. And and they want to actually do a series of things to get the result. And they use your software to do that. That's the whole reason people buy software, not because they want more software. They have a problem, they want to use this thing to get this result. And in the SaaS era, it would probably take 10 to 100 clicks to even get to an aha moment, and then 1,000 clicks to get to a result. Because the humans are using the software to do the work. You got to set it up, you got to connect the data, you got to import stuff, you got to create the workflows, and you got to do the workflow. You actually have to do the work. That's the number of mouse clicks or mouse tap clicks or whatever you want to call it to actually get the result. People don't want to buy more software, they just want the result. Well, what's happening with AI, and this is why everyone's scared of SaaS getting disrupted, is what used to take 100 clicks could take 1 click now. What used to take 1,000 clicks could just be 2 clicks now. Meaning you just go into the AI product that may sit, by the way, in order for it to actually deliver on this result and even deliver in a moment, guess what? It's gonna need the proprietary data. Otherwise it won't really know what to do for you. You might look at it and you're like, oh, that's kind of true, but not really true. My business is different and I guess it doesn't get it. But still, it takes 1/10 of the number of clicks for the user to actually get the result. That's always been true. That's how you actually made a better SaaS product. You think about things like user experience and design and what makes one competitor better than the other, fewer clicks. That's what it comes out. It's like, hey, our product will get you this result in fewer clicks. What makes where new competitors completely demolish the entrenched players, where like they go in and say, hey, look, you start to do this, 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 and this. We do it in this many clicks. And boom, people switch over. And that's more true than AI because the LLM just can do so much more. And you have things like OpenClaw, which is going huge right now. It's doing even more because it has full access to the computer with the LLM. It can do incredible things with next to no clicks. You just do a few taps and tell it what to do and it does it. That's what's happening. And that has always been true as a macro trend in software and SaaS, but it's more true today. And so the macro trend of fewer clicks is more true today. And therefore, in order for you to win, you just have to figure out how to get your result to your ideal customer in fewer clicks. How can you reduce the number of clicks it takes to get a result for a customer? And by the way, how do you make it actually a result and not just hallucination or slop? Well, you actually do proprietary data and you tap into proprietary data, which means your result is going to be better. The aha moment is going to be better. And then you want to actually do it over and over and over and over, which means that you're going to charge them a platform fee and get credits for every single time you do the work for them in as few clicks as possible. The human does less, the business does less, you do all the work, you get paid for it. And that's how these 2 macro trends feed into this third one. Those are the 3 macro trends that are happening. And this is why I'm pumped for just being in software right now. And I call it AI SaaS, to be in AI SaaS. Because truthfully, no AI company is going to succeed unless they have a system of record underneath it. Either they're integrating into it or they're starting to own it. No AI company is going to succeed unless they have a system of engagement built into it. Either they integrate into it or they own it. And what's probably going to happen for the big ones that really succeed, the new Salesforces in the world, the new Workdays in the world, is that they'll start with integrating and then they'll take it over time. And that they're gonna get really big unless they get bought out. So that's what's gonna happen. So this is a huge opportunity, but let me explain why this whole opportunity, why I believe in these and why these come together. And then I'm gonna teach you how to actually win. What do you need to do to win? I'm gonna explain why based on platform shifts. So there's been 3 big platform shifts that have happened in my lifetime, in my experience as a SaaS founder, now as an AI founder, and as a coach to founders to help them scale their software companies. Number 1 has been on-prem. That's on-premise software to SaaS and cloud. Let's just call it cloud, right? We used to ship you the software, you paid a one-time license, and then we made money on the support fees. Then we changed that to cloud, where you just subscribe to the software. That was the big shift. The next big shift was cloud to mobile. This, believe it or not, was a tough shift for a lot of companies because they knew how to create web-based software. They didn't know how to do mobile. The mobile applications for B2B software and SaaS platforms were terrible. And you could argue they're still a little terrible. So they had to really adapt to that platform shift. What did they do? They bought a bunch of companies and it got better, and then brand new mobile first companies did well. Mobile first was a big thing. Now no one thinks about it. It's like, well, of course you have a desktop solution and a mobile solution. Back then, during that platform shift, a competitive differentiator was we're mobile first. Therefore, we're better. And the same thing happened now, where now we're doing the AI shift. This is the AI platform shift. And truth be told, you probably have seen this. 18 months ago, if you said, hey, we're an AI platform, everyone's like, oh my God, I gotta check this out. But now they're like, okay, cool. Who isn't? And that was what happened with mobile first. And then eventually got to like, well, of course you have mobile. Like, why is that special? Like, of course, it's normal. And now it's gotten to a point where we're like, well, of course you have AI. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, use the software? You're not gonna do it for me? And that's the new expectation. So this has happened before. I pulled some stats for you. Let me give you some numbers on why you don't wanna freak out or over-index on this. If you take the entire spend on IT, information technology, like software, platforms, all of that, 49 to 85% of the spend is still on on-premise software, which I know is mind-boggling, because when's the last time you got a floppy disk or a CD-ROM to install your software? That's crazy, right? Well, the truth is, if you look at the global spend, 49 to 85% is still on-premise, and that's after, what, 20 years of SaaS as a platform shift and another shift on mobile, 49 to 85%. That's crazy, right? Which means that we're still out there trying to convince companies to move over to the cloud, which is insane, but it's also still true. What's also true is that these systems of record, as engagement companies, these systems of decision, these well-entrenched companies, all their stocks that are crashing, they're not gonna sit still. They're going to add agentic features. They're not dumb, and they have resources. So 3 things are gonna happen because this has happened before. 1, they're gonna build it themselves. They're probably gonna fail. It's probably gonna be crappy. Then they're going to buy. They're gonna buy one of the startups. There's gonna be 50 startups. 3 of them are gonna be great. 1 of them is gonna be bought, and the other one's gonna IPO. Some mix of that. And then separate from that, there's gonna be new winners. And honestly, all 3 are gonna happen, and there is gonna be a lot of losers, and that's okay. So what you wanna understand is this shift is happening, but SaaS is not gonna die tomorrow. Rome wasn't built in a day, and Rome didn't fall in a day. And I do think about the Roman Empire and how it fell quite a bit, believe it or not, especially lately. It's very strange. I've been obsessed about the compounding effect and also how the Roman Empire fell. But it wasn't like just like that. So it takes time, and the on-premise empire still hasn't fallen. 49 to 85%, depending on how you look at the numbers. And so on-prem to SaaS and cloud to mobile, and now AI, but even within this, there's gonna be winners and losers, and the SaaS companies aren't just gonna sit still and die. They have cash, they have resources. So that's why I believe these 3 macro trends are the most important macro trends to understand, and also why SaaS is not dead. And you wanna double down on one of these platforms, system of record, system of engagement, system of decision, and you wanna add agentic features, and you wanna understand the chessboard of how to win in software. And ultimately, you really wanna figure out, how do we get fewer clicks to an aha, because that product always wins. That's gonna be the best product. Here's the big question. How do you actually win in this market, whether you're a SaaS company or an AI company? The first thing I would say is, don't think about whether you're a SaaS company or an AI company, because at the end of the day, it's software. And at the end of the day, the customer is really what you wanna solve for. The big thing that you really wanna figure out to win is, 1, how do we get proprietary data? And you can first borrow it, but then you have to move towards owning it, because entrenched players are gonna take it away from you at some point. They're gonna find a way. The second is, how do we actually price this so it's easy to buy? And then how do we make it where we get expansion revenue? And the third one is, how do we actually deliver this with fewer clicks? That's your North Star metric. And how do we actually deliver the result? The more successful you're gonna be in doing these 3 things, the more successful you're gonna be as an AI company or a SaaS company. You could be a $100 million SaaS company right now. It's the same 3 things. How do we get proprietary data? And how do we price this so that we get paid for the work that we're gonna do with the agents? And how do we make the agents do the work that actually delivers the result in fewer clicks? Those are the 3 big things. That's what happens from a business structural and from a product roadmap point of view. And guess what? Everyone's gonna be doing this. All the best founders are gonna be doing this. All the best CEOs are gonna be doing this. So that leaves you with one of the things that I've come to realize. In the age of AI, these 3 things are becoming table stakes. This is how you win. You understand these macro trends and you play to them. And I mentioned I worked at Bridgewater. What I didn't mention, well, I kind of mentioned, was that I worked at Bridgewater during the great financial crisis. I worked there from 2007 all the way to 2010, like the most incredible time to be there. And Bridgewater made a ton of money during that time. And this is public knowledge. But one of the things that I learned there that they used to teach us as a first principle was like, look, there's actually no such thing as good markets or bad markets because it's a hedge fund. There's only good bets and bad bets. And I've carried that in my life where if you're a SaaS company, if you're a well-established SaaS company, there's no such thing as a bad market. Look at on-prem, just crushing it still. There's only good bets and bad bets. If you're an AI company, well, there's also 50 other AI companies and everybody's vibe coding and adding more features and probably copying your features or trying to copy your features. But there's no such thing as a bad market. It's only good bets and bad bets. And that gets me thinking about like, what's the bet to make? Like this is table stakes. Everyone understands this. Most smart founders will understand it. What is the thing that you really bet on? Like what's the good bet to make? And the thing that I've learned is in a world where it's easier than ever to build software, to build features, to build roadmap, to get to fewer clicks, to do the work, distribution and go to market is the ultimate moat. That's it. In a world where it's easier than ever to create more software, create more features, and get access to data, distribution is the ultimate moat. Because you can have the best product, but if they don't know about you, it won't matter. No one will even get to the aha moment of your product to realize your results are better. They have to know about you. They have to trust you. I've always been obsessed about go-to-market. That's why I've been working here at Unstoppable for so long with founders on go-to-market, on a differentiated go-to-market strategy, but it turns out it's more important than ever. And the other thing is there was a moment where I'm like, oh my God, like, do I have a job anymore? AI will just do it. But then it turns out enough time has passed where it was like, if you could truly plug in what you do and have ChatGPT or Opus generate your go-to-market strategy and execute on it and get success, especially for the 0 to 10 million ARR stage where it's so crazy, then every startup founder would be successful right now. And that's not true. So it turns out this is the hard thing. This is the thing that AI still can't figure out, and it requires human taste to really get it right. So in this era, with what's actually happening in SaaS right now and AI right now, these are all problems that have solutions. Distribution and go-to-market is the ultimate moat. You nail that, everything else sorts itself out. And speaking of first principles, I don't know if that's actually true and unique to AI today or if that's always been true, where distribution is still and always has been the ultimate moat. So now you know the 3 macro trends that I believe is happening in the SaaS industry. Let's recap. Number 1, proprietary data. Those companies that have an access to proprietary data are gonna win. So this includes the SaaS companies that own it and the AI companies that get access to it and know how to use it. Number 2, recurring revenue, seat-based pricing stronger than ever, but you're adding credits on top. And number 3, fewer clicks to aha. The quicker you get the actual result and the better the result is, the fewer clicks it takes, those products are gonna win. The reason I know these 3 are the 3 most important macro trends is because all of this has happened before. When you look at the revenues of how on-premise is still 49%, that's 2 platform shifts ago. You've seen the winners and losers that have happened along the way. There's plenty of winners that's gonna happen. From on-prem to SaaS, to cloud, to AI, tons of winners because these well-entrenched players are gonna build on their own. They're gonna buy once their own stuff fails, and there's gonna be independent companies that are gonna be winners. There's gonna be so many winners. What's important is that you actually get in there and you participate. You actually get in there and embrace the one advantage that you can get in all of this, which is a differentiated go-to-market strategy. So now you know the 3 macro trends, why I believe in them, and how you can win. If you got value from this video, make sure you smash that like button. And also, if you're in this stage, the biggest thing for you is to build a differentiated go-to-market strategy. So to help you with that, you may not know what that means and what goes into a scalable go-to-market strategy that's working today in the AI era. Be sure to grab a copy of my 5-point AI and SaaS growth strategy guide. It's completely free. It's got my 5 key pillars of how to actually drive growth for your SaaS and AI business. So to grab a copy of it, just go to getunstoppable.com/strategy. Getunstoppable.com/strategy, or just follow the link in the description below. Also, if you got value from this video, be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your AI SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. If you have a fellow founder, if you were part of a WhatsApp group or a Slack group, if you have a team member that would get value from this video, please share this video with them. We want to help as many founders and SaaS leaders as possible on how to grow their businesses in this incredible time. And also, if you're in this stage where you're really looking at how do I get distribution, be sure to grab a copy of my 5-point guide and then watch this video on how to create a go-to-market strategy today so that you can actually scale growth and differentiate yourself from the competition. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you inside the 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide or in this next video. Take care, everybody.